Meltdown presents The Disney Click with Rick and Briers. This podcast is sponsored by Meltdown Comics and Collectibles in Hollywood, California. Find Meltdown on meltcomics.com.
Hey guys, welcome to the Disney Click. It's Rick.
And Briers.
And we are happy you joined us again.
Yes, welcome back.
It's been too long since we've seen
It's
you.
been 7 days.
Right? So, today we have a little fun Disney list, I think.
Yeah, very fun.
This is one that I think Briers and I are both looking forward to doing. It's the top 5 favorite Disneylands, not Disneylands, but favorite Disney park lands.
Euro or
no,
Anaheim?
No, in
Disneyland.
Euro, no, right? Yeah, it's in America. So Disney World, the parks of Disney World, and the parks of Disneyland, California.
6 in total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are up for debate.
Unless
any
you included some from the water parks.
I did not.
I left
did
those
not.
off my
Okay.
list. Typhoon Lagoon.
I guess you could
didn't
have,
make it.
but I don't know.
I thought about it.
Okay.
But no.
Well, cheating happens sometimes on these lists.
For some of us, more than others.
What are you saying?
I'm saying you cheat.
All right. All right. Whatever you
Welcome
say.
back,
Whatever
y'all.
you say. So, and we're also going to talk a little bit about. I didn't know exactly how to put this, Briers. Disneyland and Disney World for the husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, spouse, cousin, nephew, whoever doesn't really want to be there, isn't really into it. What can they do? What might interest them from theme park doldrums or negativity or whatever you want to call it? Some things around the world and Disneyland that might entice them or have them be happier.
Right. Which I have to admit, this is like a foreign species to me. I don't really understand that type of person, but I'm going to try really hard to like tap into that mentality.
Right.
What if I didn't have a soul in like Disney?
Right. I have some friends who are parents and the fathers and
Always
many of the mothers. No, they're
more
mothers
often
too.
than not.
Probably. Who say, yeah, we're going to Disneyland. It's with this sort of going to Disneyland, and I'm not happy, or going to Disney World. But
don't go.
But they want to be there to experience. They're
For
good.
the kids.
They're good parents. They want to
Out
see
of
their
guilt.
kids be happy. Yeah.
So that their kids don't grow up being
Right.
the ones that are like, I never went to
Right.
Disney.
Right.
I knew those people. I always was like wanting to give them a hug. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Watch your childhood.
Like my father passed away, and
Oh,
we didn't
God.
go to Disneyland. Oh, you
Oh,
poor
gosh.
thing! We didn't go to Disneyland.
That is really
Right?
sad.
I know, right? Well, they're both
On
very
all
sad.
counts.
Okay.
Gosh.
So we'll talk
Ooh.
about that in a little bit. But recently, there over the holiday weekend, there was a big Run Disney event that
Yes.
Briers went to, and I got to go there for the first time in a little while with my family, and we had some thoughts that I thought maybe we want to lead off with. And why don't you tell us about your experience at Run Disney, Briers?
Yes, this was the 10th anniversary of the Disneyland Half Marathon, which is the marathon themed. There are multiple themes happening, but this is the one that's Disneyland themed. So it's people dress, in all costumes. And then the 10K this year was themed towards villains. So everyone on the 10K day dressed as villains. So there's a 5K, 10K half marathon. My family, my brothers and their wives and my dad, we all did the half. This is my second year in a row doing it. And it was so much fun. It's a little warmer this year. The sun came out a little faster, but it was really fun.
Everybody finished?
Everyone finished.
Nobody fell into the
No,
to the
sorry.
Paradise Pier Lake
No
or
one
anything?
broke a leg.
Okay, well, I didn't want that. Maybe a cut or a bruise here.
Yeah, got stuck. You run out to Angel Stadium
Okay.
on the 13 miles, and you run through the field, and that's on your final, like at mile 10. So you kind of feel like you're getting close.
Where
to
does
the
it
end.
end? Where does the half marathon end?
It ends at Downtown Disney. It starts and ends at Downtown Disney. And the beginning part is what's through the parks. So you start and you run through California Adventure. They turn on the World of Color. They have all the rides just running and empty. So like Dumbo's going around and Astro Orbiter's all turned on. And
are the characters along the way?
Yes, and this year, I don't
High-fives?
know if it was because of the 10th, but it was literally, we kept joking that it was like they went in their like back closet and were like, haven't seen Aladdin in a park in 10 years. And Aladdin was there, Mulan, and the villain of Mulan, like not the, the main, what's the evil?
The general guy of the...
Not the general. Yeah, I know. He's very built and has a bird that goes around with him. I know we couldn't remember his name because like that's so long time ago, and it's not Mushu. But it was literally like throwback Thursday. All the characters. I hadn't seen these characters. I mean, they had Robin Hood, literally like the full. And you're like, I didn't even know. So they must have like gone to the cleaners and dusted off the costumes.
Oh, well, it was the 10-year anniversary of the marathon, half marathon.
Because last year when we did it, it was a lot more like current characters, a lot of Star Wars. But this year it was really fun because around every turn, it was like, what is like, this princess doing? It was really, really cool.
I would think they'd want to do the Disneyland and California Adventure part. You'd want that kind of the second half of the run because that would be more invigorating, but they need to get people out of the
it's all logistics.
Sure.
There's no other they have to get the parks open, and that's why the run starts at 5:30, but the last corral doesn't cross the start line until probably around 7:30. So they have a very short window, by 9 o'clock, 8 or 9, the park's open. So it's logistics.
There are never any runners come 9 o'clock when the park opens. Maybe they open it at 10?
Yeah, they have to time it because it's like 16 minutes. The sweepers come through, and if you get behind the clock, then you're out.
I wonder if a runner ever has like hidden in
just
Radiator Springs
park.
Racers and just like it opens like, oh, we were just here,
and like quit the race. I guess.
Sure, why not?
It's a steep
Stranger things have happened,
and you don't get your medal.
The medal, which you're right.
You don't get any of the.
Briers has been talking about this medal. It's the 60th anniversary, and there's a spinny thing, and they pay tribute the 10th anniversary. And,
wow, I'm detecting.
No, you just love your medal.
This medal this year is special because I think they've kind of kept the same medal year to year. That's just the D in the font of the Disneyland font, and this year they switched it up 100%. It's shaped like a diamond. Has a spinning little diamond inside. And they paid homage to the diamond anniversary and that it's the 60th anniversary of the parks and the 10-year anniversary of the run. So it's kind of just like a combustion of a medal. Right. It's really an excellent medal. And I recommend, again, anyone who is interested, even in running short distance. Rick and I are, talking about doing the Avengers 10K next year together.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. Briers
I
brought
signed
in her
him
family.
up.
Oh boy. Briers had her family here, and I think it's a good time for family that runs together. Your mom doesn't run, but your dad runs, right? And your brother...
My mom watches the grandbabies,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. But
a family that runs together
stays together, something like that.
Does Disney together.
I guess so. And so it was really... Sounds like a fun time for all you guys. And
my sister-in-law had a great story. She said at the end for her the last 2 miles, she heard someone behind her. The entire 2 miles kept saying, "Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming." I thought that was really funny. A Dory reference.
Oh, okay,
a reference
okay.
From a
I
Finding
got it. All right,
Nemo.
okay. I thought there's like a swimming pool. I thought there's like a swimming pool.
No, it's that
nearby.
Dory. Just keep going. Just keep going.
I understand now.
It's a Pixar reference.
Okay.
You might not get it because you don't appreciate Pixar, but that's okay.
I get it.
I didn't think I'd have to explain that, but
maybe,
I did.
Did you tell the story okay? Or was it
no,
you or was it me?
I told the story exactly as I've said it 3 times.
I thought there was going to be a big finish there or something like that.
And then water fell on
somebody
everyone.
broke their leg or something like that.
Oh, of course it has to be negative and someone has to get harmed, but
I'm not wishing that upon anybody. I just
a little bit. You want a story. You wanted someone harmed.
You built it up. You built it up like, oh, this is going to be a good story, and then
it's funny. It's a very a running Disney story. If you go just run the Boston Marathon, I doubt you're going to hear someone saying,
"Just keep swimming."
Yeah, or to infinity and beyond. They have some great posters along the way, like "Run like a beast, sleep like a beauty." I like that one.
Very
I think
nice.
It's funny.
Were they available for purchase?
No, people just.
Oh, they were actually
people
handmade.
Cheer us on along the way,
Fan-made,
and people like to write a lot of Disney themed inspirational quotes.
Gotcha. Well, it sounds very cool. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Very fun. I recommend it to anyone.
I most like the part with all your family and your new nephew.
Yes,
right, was
two
in tow.
nephews.
Two nephews. Sorry, two nephews were in tow, and that's awesome. That's what Disney is
They won't
about.
remember it, but I think we had more fun just watching them.
Give them a few years, and maybe they'll remember.
We got good pictures of like interactions with characters that they won't remember.
Right. I was also at the park over the holiday weekend, and it was very hot and very crowded. Yet I still had a lot of fun. We
left right before. It was hot our last day, and then it was heating up even more.
Yeah, we crisscrossed. You left as we came,
and it was even hotter on your day.
Yeah, it was really hot.
It was,
and there was 30-minute wait for Little Mermaid, and I don't wait 30 minutes for.
Oh, see,
my daughter really, and usually it's a 5-minute wait.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's never long.
Yeah, so my daughter really wanted to do it, so we did it, and I'm happy to do it. But
it's cute.
If she said I want to do it again, I'd been like, honey, we're not doing it again. And the big news was that she did. My daughter, who is a little bit of a ride chicken at this point, I'm hoping she improves. She did step up and do Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin.
In Toontown.
And that was in Toontown.
I had not spent a lot of time in Toontown, except now I went with a 15-month-old. So, of course, we spent a long time in Toontown. And I didn't know this ride existed, and it's an e-ticket ride. There's a fast pass.
Well, just because there's a fast pass machine doesn't mean it's an e-ticket ride, does it?
That's what I
I don't know.
Denote.
I wouldn't call it an e-ticket ride.
But I mean, if you get a fast pass, that's an e-ticket.
It does have I don't know. But e-ticket to me,
means it's scary?
You technically could be. No, it doesn't necessarily mean it's scary. It just means that it's, I don't know. I can see why having a fast pass machine would mean it's an e-ticket, but it's also a dark ride. I don't think a simple dark ride is an e-ticket.
Yeah, anything that's e-ticket, I always just say.
Yeah, so. I could see that. But anyway, she did it, and I'm proud of her for doing it. But
what was her? She summarized what she said afterwards. What did she say?
She wasn't scared of the ride vehicle or anything like that. What scared her was that there was this kind of this heater thing that it's a face, and I'm forgetting the word, but it's an old basement
furnace. Or it sounds like Home Alone.
Yeah, it's a basement
thing
furnace.
In Home Alone.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's been so long since I've seen Home Alone.
He gets scared in the basement.
Yeah,
okay. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so there's a face on a furnace, and then there's a couple scary clowns, cardboard cutout scary, and she doesn't like scary clowns, I guess.
Her and Riley both.
Right. So yeah, right. So
Inside Out.
I think they got it. I think they okay.
Some people.
All right.
That's for the people that didn't get it.
Okay. And so I think that freaked out a little bit, but I don't know. Part of it is sort of, I think she doesn't want me to push her on to other rides. She's maybe a little afraid that if she says, "Oh, I really like that," or "It wasn't bad," or whatever, she's like, "Okay, well now let's go on. Let's go on California Screaming or Tower of Terror or Space
that's a
Mountain."
big leap.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think.
Does she do Toy Story Mania?
She does. She loves Toy Story Mania.
That's a great one.
She loves Toy Story Mania. So
you can't get above a beaver. My one brother, his first time, he gets a notch. He got a notch above the beaver every time.
I think a beaver.
And I was
what's above beaver?
It's a rabbit. I want to say.
I don't know.
It's another.
There's tricks and stuff. That's a story for another day because there's like tricks. On
and
that
I've asked, and I went right back on it and did worse because I was so focused on the tricks.
So,
but that dang beaver, I'm always a beaver.
But anyway, it was a lot of fun. It was really hot and really crowded. But I think I posted this on Twitter that you love Disney even if it's 90 plus degrees and really crowded, you still have fun. Mm-hmm. That means you love Disney parks. It just does. And so on that note, why don't we jump into our Disney list?
Let's do it.
And now, the Disney list.
All right, today's Disney list is top 5 favorite theme park areas in Disneyland or Disney World.
Lands.
Yeah.
That's the proper title, correct?
Well, when I say Disneylands, it kind of sounds confusing.
Or you could say lands at Disney theme parks.
Yes. Okay. Well, Briers.
Do you want me to introduce the top 5?
You introduce the top 5. Let's see.
So the top 5 this week is top 5 lands at Disney theme parks in the continental U.S. How is that?
Very good.
Thank you.
We should have
had
practiced. You should have done it in the first place.
Oh well.
I'm so embarrassed. Anyway,
fix it in post.
Okay. No, we won't.
You'll get to hear all of this.
Yes, great. So why don't you?
Why
don't you go first?
Okay.
I feel like I've been going first a little bit lately, and you should have the honor.
Thank you.
Okay.
How sweet of you.
And once again, we do not discuss this stuff ahead of time.
And I know that there are some lands that exist in multiple parks, mainly in Disneyland and Magic Kingdom. There are lands that are in both, and we'll specify which park it is.
Right.
Because there's a difference. So,
yeah. And I
there's no like, oh, I choose this land that's at both. No, you pick just the one. Yeah.
Okay. And I will,
for specific reasons.
And I will I'm going to wait to hear what you said, because there's a couple honorable mentions.
Oh, yeah. I had about 9 that I was like, any of these can make it.
I really had 1 or 2 that were really like, oh, I really want to talk about this, but it's not.
You thought I
quite
might choose it?
And I think
Probably not.
You maybe not.
The ones I chose, I don't see you picking.
All right. Well,
so,
maybe
no crossover.
Maybe we'll try to remember
maybe one.
at the end of this that I would just give the honorable mentions out, because I wish I knew what you'd pick, because I could talk about it now. But
I like it's a secret.
I like that too. Go number 5.
Nice transition. My number 5, if there's any crossover, could be this one.
Okay.
It's a new one, but it makes an impression, and that is Cars Land.
Yep, it's on my list.
In Disney, California.
I won't tell you when, but it's on my list.
Adventure, so it's not your number 5, I'm guessing.
No, not my number 5.
Again, a lot of the lands I chose almost all of them are older and, have the nostalgia factor. So it's rare for one to make the list, to make an impression. It's only been around 3 years, but from top to bottom, it is such a well done, designed, executed land. It really takes the film and translates it into this location that you walk into and you feel like you've entered the movie. Actually, one of my family members when we were just there said it best. I don't remember who. I'm not going to give credit. It's probably, I don't know. Who knows? But they said, this makes me appreciate the movie even more. I think they weren't a huge fan of the movie, but they're like, this makes the movie even cooler.
Well, I think I was just going to say, I think that's the big thing about Cars Land, or one of the big things about Cars Land is a lot of people, I don't think, have fond memories of Cars, the movie.
Right.
And
myself included.
They sort of say, well, why would we want a whole land about cars if, it's not my favorite Pixar, it's near to the bottom, whatever your opinion may be. And then they get there.
It just makes sense.
And they get it. It's like, I get it now once you're there.
Because it takes place in it's a made up town, but it's a town in the United States. And Cars translates very easily into a ride. And the characters, all the little locations in that one town, it takes place in one location the majority of the film, with Flo's Cafe and the Cozy Cone, and it's so well done. It's beautiful. It's stunning, really.
Yeah. And like a lot of lands at Disney World and Disneyland, I think it's even better at night. I actually think it's a lot better at night.
And going on the rides,
not that it's bad,
well lit,
right? Not that it's bad during the day. I just at night you get it, and there's going on Radiator Springs Racers at night is better experience in my opinion. The neon is so cool what they've done. It's just
and just how you come in with that giant postcard, welcome to Cars Land.
Yeah,
it's just from
literally
from top to bottom. It's perfection.
I think I've said this in an earlier podcast that I like walking into Cars Land, not down the main drag, but by Cadillac Range through Pacific Wharf, where you see the range, the mountain ranges, and the scaling. I think that's more impressive than even coming down the main
That's
street.
where you run it.
Yeah, but
that's where we'll run together.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So it's
sorry, I threw you off.
Yeah,
talking about our run.
All right, not happening.
Yes, it is.
So we, it just shows how much thought they really put into this whole land, and it is, I think, the standard for anything Disney
does from here on out.
They'll hold to that
and
standard.
The ride itself, I mean, not to belabor the point, but Radiator Springs Racers, ride is incredible. Right. I mean, it's amazing. I remember the first time I went on it being like, how much did this cost? Not that it needs to feel like it costs a lot, but it's just so well done, and the details, and everyone that I go on it with says it just does so well of being a ride with the racing, but then also the slower moments, reenacting the movie. It really has a nice
It's a perfect mix. It's a perfect mix of a little bit of thrill, a little bit of calm thing.
So well done.
So and we'll have I don't know if we'll need to talk about Cars Land a little bit more, but I wish it were my number 5 because it would be just nice. But it's not my number 5.
Okay,
my number 5 might be a little surprising, is Sunset Boulevard Hollywood Studios in Disney.
That's on mine, of course. Right? Have we met? I can't believe we have crossover.
I will say,
I thought I was safe.
No, not safe, because I kind of give a thumbs down
so
to.
surprised. I didn't even think
well,
you liked that park.
Well, Hollywood
this
Park.
is thrilling.
I give Disney Hollywood Park or
Disney's Hollywood Studios,
I have to stop
formerly known as MGM
I have to
Studios,
stop
which
myself
I
from saying
prefer to
MGM,
call
so
it that.
I still stop myself.
The
from
little
saying
9-year-old in me still thinks it's called MGM.
So the Sunset Boulevard section of the park, I will say the theming is okay. But the reason why it's number 5 in all my lists is because it has quite possibly 2 of my favorite attractions in all of Disney World. That being the awesome Tower of Terror, the original, and the one where you actually move forward, and it's
the
just,
more
it's
I
just
think
better
is
than
better.
better than Disneyland.
And it's looming at the end of the street.
Yes.
It just creates this ominous presence.
Correct.
I mean, you can see it from the parking lot riding the trams in. It's like right on your mind.
Right.
And you always take sunset first thing when
and
you get in the park.
They try to theme things really well, but that's one thing that's okay to see in the distance. And you kind of know and then they have Rock and Roller Coaster, which I think is awesome for a coaster,
amazing.
Launching coaster. I think it's nicely themed.
Oh, the video beforehand, and they get you in the limo.
And some people might not like the tracks and it's kind of neon lit stuff. It might be a little cheesy,
it's a dark ride.
Right. I think it's kind of fun. I think it's that, and that's all. And then on top of it, we've had a debate on this before. I much prefer the Fantasmic at Disneyland. That said, Fantasmic is a good show, and Fantasmic is in this section of the park as well.
Yes, and
so
I
that
prefer
means
it
something.
At World because I think it has that sitting stage. It's got its own space. It's an amphitheater seating.
But it's not.
There's great viewing.
The personality
you don't have
is
to
lost.
pay more money or wait in line. You can just show up right before the show
and
get a great seat.
But once as far as the show, the personality is lost.
You're in the dark. You're tucked away. You're focused on the show instead of people running through you. It just feels very crammed. To me.
I don't.
I mean, again, I grew up with Fantasmic at World, so I think that's where I get the.
I think I saw Fantasmic at World first,
right?
As well, but I still have
it stuck with me more there.
Yeah, and I just
because I could see people to my left dropping in Tower of Terror the whole time and screaming. I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
I just like it.
I know, but the fact
Personal
is,
preference.
I give it points for being in Sunset Boulevard
I'm shocked.
section. Yeah,
I'm so happy
it's
for
not a theme.
Disney's Hollywood Studios.
But it's not about the theme because I don't think the theme is so great in any
I
of
love
the parks.
The theme.
But I think it's very cool that it has that concentration of attractions right there. And I can't think of anywhere else.
Both of those rides fit in with the theme very well, which is movie making and being in the business, and Sunset Boulevard and the hotel that the stars would stay at.
Can you think of anywhere else in any of the Disney parks, in the U.S. Disney parks, where they have 2 true e-ticket big rides like right next to each other? Disneyland's a kind of an exception because it's a little bit more close together. But any of the Walt Disney World, is there anything like that they're right next to each other like that?
Magic Kingdom, I would say Splash and Thunder are next to each other.
Right, that would probably be nice, right?
And those are 2 can't miss rides.
Sure, I agree.
And they're both e-ticket there. I think Thunder Mountain's an e-ticket.
Oh, they're definitely. E-ticket once again is not necessarily. It doesn't mean you have a fast pass. It just means e-ticket means big attraction. Something,
I think we have a different opinion on e-ticket.
Wow, we got to write this down for debate another day, okay? Because I don't agree with this. All right, so why don't you go?
Cheers for MGM Studios. Let's call it what it was formerly known as.
And I'm not giving the whole park. This is the one area that the Hollywood Studios.
Let us not give praise too much to Hollywood Studios.
For sure.
Heaven forbid.
I know you're making fun of me, but
I am.
You ask your average person who knows something about Disney World, and they will kind of go, if that section didn't exist right now, what's the point of going? Yeah, the Hollywood Studios. What's the point if Tower of Terror, if Sunset Boulevard didn't exist?
Oh, so just get rid of Star Tours and Pixar and Grauman's Chinese Theater.
I think Toy Story
and the
Mania,
Dine-In movie theater. There is plenty in that park, and they are continuing to improve it. I think
the other 3 parks people would prefer over that one. Especially if you take away Sunset Boulevard. Anyway, we're going on a tangent here. We don't have that much time.
My number 4, kind of similar to Sunset Boulevard, because I clearly love the film theme. So that's just me, just putting it out there. My number 4 is also a new one, my last new one, but Buena Vista Street in Disney California Adventure, which includes, the entrance to the park, which was completely redesigned and also opened in 2012. So the entire entrance to Disney California Adventure was reimagined, And the shops there, they've opened the Oswald shops, getting the rights back to Oswald, which is a great story. And they have this beautiful fountain. There's a Starbucks, but it's hidden, so it doesn't look too obvious.
Since I feel like you mentioned it, the Oswald story, can you tell it in a minute or less?
Yeah, I think. Okay, so Disney drew Oswald first, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, but he drew him when he worked for Universal. And he left Universal and wanted to take Oswald with him, wanted to be able to draw him. And Universal refused him the rights. And so he then made a statement that that's what, was the impetus. And he said, I will only work for myself. I'll never work for anyone again. Created his own business and then drew the infamous Mickey Mouse. And
how did they get Oswald back?
Yes. So Oswald was owned by Universal until I think it was 2006, I want to say.
Yeah, it was fairly recently, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely in the last 10 years, at least. I want to say 2006. Right. I feel confident in that. And Universal really wanted, I don't know if they wanted him, but there's a ESPN broadcaster, and I don't know his name. You can fill it in.
Actually, I remember this, and it's off the top of my head. Was it Dan Dierdorf or... Oh, Michaels? I can't remember.
Some sports broadcaster for ESPN, which Disney, ABC owns ESPN. They traded the human being broadcaster for the rights to Oswald, which I love because no offense to that man, but he is not immortal. And Oswald, as a character, can live on forever.
It was a good trade for Disney.
Yeah.
And I'm sure at the time it was a good trade for whatever the, Universal.
And so
I don't know.
Oswald now, it's great. I mean, you enter DCA, Disney California Adventure, and he has his own little gas station first thing. And I have to say, Oswald, they love bringing out that character. I mean, he is always there, and he always has a very solid line. There's a huge following. I wonder if he has any envy that, like, he's the older brother, I think they say they're cousins. You know they're different breeds, Mickey and Oswald.
You know what my issue a little bit with Buena Vista Street, which I think is great, and they did a wonderful job when they
Tell us
for DCA
your issue.
2.0, but it looks a lot like Hollywood Studios. I believe the gas station.
That was the intention.
Yeah, but we talk about this, and don't we want sort of a unique feeling? I think it's wonderful what they've done at California Adventure, but the gas station is there, and the gas station is at the Hollywood Studios.
But it looks entirely different. It's not an Oswald. Why they've been recently.
I guess the gate doesn't count as part of one of his.
Oh, the entry point.
The entry point is exactly the same, or just
I guess because it has a different name, and you're coming in from such a different area. It feels very different.
I don't want to harsh on it too much because I do really.
Well, Carthay Circle is entirely unto its own.
Absolutely.
An amazing restaurant. Go there. Be prepared to splurge a little, but it's so good. I like that it's not as campy as some of the other restaurants.
If you buy a Coke, you got to be prepared to splurge a little. So just saying.
Well, you can split your meal. Okay. Get some World of Color tickets thrown in.
Cheddar biscuits or cheddar bacon biscuits or.
Is that? They have some options.
Circle. I can't remember what.
Yeah, I wouldn't have eaten the bacon. Okay. I'm like, what did I have? Corn. Is it corn?
But that's there. Okay. That's in Buena Vista Street as well.
I mean, it's a scaled down model of the theater that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs premiered in, which is actually located just south of Hollywood. And so there's a really neat history to Carthay, and you go in the lobby, there's all these incredible black and white photos of Walt and working with Julie Andrews and the cast of Snow White. And it's just a really nice counterpoint to Disneyland. It feels, a little more sophisticated, and I just love Buena Vista Street.
That's fair.
I spent a lot of time there.
It's a lot better than what it was before they changed it. It's a lot better.
Which I never saw. I didn't live here yet.
It was just,
I saw the walls up for a year while they were building
when I first went into Disney California Adventure for the first time, and it was supposed to be like a postcard with the sun, and there was a water bottle.
I've seen pictures.
I was just kind of like. I still was happy to be at Disney, but wow,
it didn't feel like it.
It felt cheap. It did feel it felt cheap.
Well, I will say the pier, Paradise Pier, I think has the cheapest feel of Disney California Adventure, and that's the most from what I've read and seen is the most similar to the older park.
Right.
It's still fine. It just doesn't feel like Cars Land, where it's like. It's so immersive.
Right.
You feel like you're in a totally different place. Paradise Pier, it's like, I could go to Santa Monica Pier and get a similar feeling.
I have I have many thoughts on that. The one I will, they took out more shops to put in Toy Story Mania.
Worth it.
Right. Well, obviously, but that was the problem. It was like the whole back wall was just only stores.
Yeah.
So,
no, I'm fascinated. I mean, this could be, another time, but I'm really fascinated with the history of Disney California Adventure and the transformation, and that they owned up to it and were like, this is not the park we intended, or this isn't what we wanted out of it. And the limousine ride I've heard about,
Superstar limo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
it just cracks me up what they tried to kind of, it seems like, get away with, and whoever was in charge. And now I think with John Lasseter at the helm of park design, it's been incredible what they've done.
It's always
with it.
John Lasseter with you, right? Although he gets credit.
He is he's literally head of park imagination, or park imagineering, or whatever the term is.
The revitalization of Disney California Adventure, I think, started in 2007 and ended in 2012. I believe it cost $1.1 billion.
Yes.
And that alone cost more than to build the park in the first place, is my understanding, which is crazy. Even with the little bit of inflation.
I think a lot of that went to Cars Land.
Still, that's one land versus the whole. I mean, it's
on
crazy.
both our lists, and it's new.
Yeah. But
I don't know.
Isn't that,
I give them
I'm just saying
props.
that's sort of, all right. So
it's a great park now.
Right.
I think it stands up there with the other parks now.
Disneyland's my favorite.
Before, it sounds like it did not.
Right. Disneyland is my favorite of the two, but I could easily go to California Adventure and feel happy
all day
as well. So I was commenting they need a little more shade in some spots of California Adventure. That's one thing that I
Sorry, it's new and they haven't planted enough trees for you yet.
I just remember that because it was really hot.
They've got shade. Go over to near the Rapids ride and the little
you're right,
up
but
section.
What about the other?
Go hang out in
what about the other
Grand
parts
Californian.
Of the park? I'm just saying, needs a little more shade. But
can't win. Can't win.
No,
with
I
Rick.
like it.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Just saying.
Sorry. So you're number 4.
My number 4 is Cars Land.
Okay.
So we spent a lot of time on Cars Land before. We just spent a lot of time on this. I'll just summarize once again. Cars Land is a feat of theme park engineering. I will say it really brings
John Lasseter.
There you go. It really brings you into Cars Land, the movie, or Cars the movie,
directed by John Lasseter. Okay. Sorry, I can't help myself.
And it really is a wonderful thing. It obviously not my favorite land overall, but it's here at number 4 because I think it's a testament to what Disney can do when they put the mind and muscle and marketing and money behind it.
When they take their time building it.
Grown.
That's all I gotta say.
Okay, so why don't you go to your number 3?
My number 3 is a classic, Main Street, USA.
That's my number 3 as well.
Oh, fun! Look at this.
Can I just interrupt you
in
for a second about
Disneyland?
This? Yes, Disneyland.
Okay.
I have
to.
I have to say
go for it.
It's often very crowded and very commercial, but it is the starter piece, the mood setter for everything else that comes after. It's the place it's one of a few that I feel the history of Disneyland and makes me happy just being there. The sounds, the smells, the shops, the lights, everything. I'm just happy to be there. I think
it's what Walt most had his hand in, and you feel that. And it hasn't, out of everything, it's changed the least. When I was there with my family over the holiday weekend.
There have been changes, but just not
right. But subtle, or it's more like upkeep. I don't feel like there have been drastic. Yeah.
There used to be a lingerie shop on Main Street. Isn't that kind of strange?
Pre-Victoria's Secret.
I don't know. Could you imagine Victoria's Secret on Main Street?
Mini Secret.
there are those who would like that.
Polka dot lingerie.
Is there a Disney lingerie line?
I'm sure.
Oh
my gosh, I'm sure.
Official or unofficial?
I'm official. I'm sure where they can get their name in.
Will you research that for me? I'm just curious.
Me to look it up? Okay,
yes, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
No,
I'll get back to you.
Okay.
To be continued.
My wife will see me doing that. So, what are you looking at? Lingerie. I guess there could be a reason for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, no, but when I was there with my family over Labor Day, I think one of my brothers was pointing out that there's an Elias and Company, which is homage to Walt's father. And there's just all these little I was just reading a book about a costume designer, a woman who worked on a lot of the costume designs for It's a Small World and Pirates of the Caribbean. And there's a costume shop with her name. So there's so much little – it's trivia, but it's more than trivia. It's kind of – it's true I don't know what you would call it. It's like that's where you feel the purest sense of Disney or of Walt and what he wanted for the park.
Do you know what specifically the town it was supposedly based on?
No,
I think you might know this.
No, I mean, if you say it all, off the top of my head.
Well,
I
let me
couldn't
ask you
name
this:
it.
is it based on only Walt's hometown?
No, it's
not.
a mix of America.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, it's
there's different towns.
Walt got the idea for his hometown in Missouri, but supposedly it's more closely based on Harper Goff's hometown of Fort Collins, Colorado, which I didn't know. I was doing a little looking.
But there is some of his own hometown as well.
Walt Disney?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Right.
But I think the design is actually more Fort Collins, Colorado. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
It almost seems unimaginable to think, wait, this is not mostly based on Walt Disney's hometown? That might
Right.
not be the case. It's kind of a disturbing thought for the Disney fan who might have thought that it's only
Well,
Walt's.
you look at it now and you don't think of any specific town. You don't think it feels like Colorado or this or that because it just feels like quintessential America.
With 10,000 of your closest friends strolling down the street.
Depends on what time you.
No, that's
we
true.
just hit
I'm
it.
joking.
We just
I'm
hit it at a
joking.
really rough time.
It is what it is.
We need to go back and.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back in a
When
few
it's less,
weeks and when the weather's better.
Yeah.
Weather,
I love it.
crowds.
No, I love it. I've been there enough times to see
Yeah.
it when it's great, and it really is a special part of the park. And I
The
think
Main Street too. You can just meander down. You could
Sure.
spend just hours there alone.
I'd kind of like.
We went into the Toontown, playing Mickey's.
Oh, right, the old time. The
little
theater.
Steamboat Willie
Right.
was playing. It was fun.
I would like to at some point, and I don't know when I'm ever going to get this chance to do this anytime soon. There's rocking chairs on one of the platforms, on
Yes,
the porches,
yeah.
and just to sit there and watch people. Not only am I with my family or with friends that we're not in there to just sit there, but also it always seems there's always somebody sitting there. It's so hard to find.
I've
Maybe
seen it
I'm
empty.
there. I'm there
Next
the
time I'm
weekends.
there and it's empty, I'll call you and be like,
Take a
get in your
picture.
car,
Take a picture.
hop on
and put
down
it,
here.
Put it up on
The
Instagram.
rocking chairs
or
are free.
Put it up on Twitter or
I have
Instagram.
seen on Dapper Day the Dapper folk love to sit in those
Right.
chairs.
Okay.
I don't know if they're just like, this is what we do when we're
Maybe.
in dapper clothing. We watch the people
but
down Main
it's,
Street.
It's awesome. And as I said, I'm there mostly crowded because school schedules and work schedules and everything. But I would like to do that someday. It's good people watching.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's a
shaded.
neat Main
Yeah.
Street smack. And they
Yeah.
recreated it very well at World.
Right.
But it is neat to know that
It's not quite the
land
same.
that was Walt's,
Right. The
original vision. Yeah.
So give us number 2, since we both had the same number 3.
Right. And we had overlap. So my number 2 is Sunset Boulevard.
Number 2.
Disney's
Wow, that's high
Hollywood
praise. I couldn't go that high.
Studios.
I could not go that high on that one.
I could have put it at number 1. It would still be fine at number 1.
Is it about the theming or is it about the ride? You said a little bit about this, but is it the rides or the theming that really brings you in, or the fact
It's a
that
mix.
Okay. Talk about the theming since we've talked about the rides.
I mean, that is my favorite park outside of Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, which you can't not love those because that's where it all began. But outside of that, it's Hollywood Studios for me, and that's always the place that as kids we would hit Sunset first because you get there in the morning, you want to get on Tower of Terror before the line gets long.
Right.
So I actually spent a lot of time running down Sunset Boulevard, but it gets you there instantly, and I think it's the quintessential feeling of that park. And growing up on the East Coast, and I always had a fixation with Hollywood and film from an early age. And I think I felt it immediately. You felt like you were in California. And I mean, the first time I came here, granted, this is in the Hollywood Boulevard section, but I saw Grauman's Chinese Theater, the real one, on Hollywood Boulevard here. And it's not as, I remember being like, the Disney World one is, it's a little nicer. It's a little cleaner. It's not as crowded.
Disney
and there's
does
a
have
ride
way,
inside.
Disney does have a way of making things
Oh my gosh.
more idealized when you see it.
You almost don't want to travel. You don't want to take your kids. You want to take them to the real place.
First.
Yeah, so they don't get their hopes up.
Yeah, that's a
that
good
it's all
idea.
squeaky clean with no gum or whatever.
Right. It's gotten better. And it was a decade ago. Plus, it was a lot worse than it is now. It's very touristy and dirty.
Oh, at the Grauman's out here.
It's gotten better, but that's okay.
But I love that Grauman. It's got Minnie's, handprints. But yeah, so it's a mix. The theme is, and it's what you walk into the park and experience first.
Right. Okay.
And that looming tower just never gets old.
Yeah, it's really
it's a little taller there too. The actual building and the drop is about 10 feet higher.
Right.
The ride is a little more. involved,
Right.
I guess.
But
And the line, you go through the mist. I think mainly they missed it because it's so hot and the humidity.
I don't think that
but that does add to the,
Okay.
they don't mist all the rides. And it does give it that eerie feeling that, there's ghosts around or something.
So, okay, we're in agreement on that. You're a little high for my taste, but the fact it's on both our top 5 says it means something to us.
I just can't believe it's on yours.
I like
that and dogs.
I like the rides.
I didn't know you like dogs. I know you like Sunset Boulevard. What's next?
I will stick around. Maybe you'll
Run
find out.
Disney?
I don't know. Yeah, not happening.
We'll see.
At least not the 10K or the 5K or
the half then. Perfect. We'll do the half together.
So my number 2 is it's not a ride-based one. This is probably the most adult land in all of Disney World or Disneyland, and that's the World Showcase.
I was gonna guess.
No,
yeah,
the World Showcase is number 2. It's funny that I think of the World Showcase much more than I think of Future World at Epcot. There are hardly any rides at the World Showcase. The World Showcase is about eating and drinking and visiting the countries, and you talk about
There's
cleaner
some rides.
Not the Maelstrom, which is not going to be the Frozen thing, and
but that actually was like our favorite in that section.
Because it's like the only thing in that section.
Yeah.
I think if there are other things around, people wouldn't be like, oh, the Maelstrom, but people go to the Maelstrom because
there's nothing else
there. Exactly. But it is so much. It's so much fun. It's atmospheric
for an older crowd.
Yeah. Well,
I will say, as a child, I found it
that's fine. But
boring.
this is us now, right? This is us as an older.
I'm
crowd.
I'm still not a big Epcot. I'm not a big Epcot person.
Future World, I think, needs a lot of work, but I think World Showcase is a lot of fun. I think the illumination show is great. The 11 pavilions, I believe it is, the reflections, the show sorry, I said Illuminations. I believe it's
nighttime show with the globe in the world.
It's Illuminations reflection on Earth.
The nighttime show.
The nighttime show is really cool,
which is great to watch from the Chinese restaurant.
Okay.
Great views.
Right, and I'm an eating guy, as I've probably said or tweeted, but food means a lot to me. And I think that's like the one place in the parks that you can get some pretty decent stuff. And I don't feel so strongly about. I like little items here and there in the park, but I can't point to a whole mess of restaurants or eateries at any park to say, oh my God, it's such a great eating park. I can do that with World Showcase. I can go there, be happy with a lot of the food and the atmosphere, and also feel that it is a little bit more adult, which is a little bit of a bridge into, a later segment here on the what to do with adults.
I have some friends, a really good friend from Florida, who grew up doing like rad days and things. And what's really popular in Epcot at all the countries is to do shots around the world. I guess there's drinking around the world, and you can also do shots around the world, which I just good luck to those, because there's a lot of countries to hit.
I would be out after. Give me about 3, and I'm like, I'll see you later, guys.
I wouldn't make it to France
so well.
or just like not even halfway.
Well, Mexico is, you can start in Mexico, and there's the margaritas, and I think I might be done after that. But I think
so. If you see people staggering around, maybe they're attempting.
Right. So that's
to go around the world.
That's my number 2. That almost could have been number 1.
That's
but
amazing.
It's not.
See, that's
once again, it's not quintessential Disney. It's not on there, and I appreciate that, because it's not. It's probably kind of an outside of the box for a lot of people. For adult wise, they love it.
Well, I think it's hit or miss. People are either very passionate about Epcot and specifically the world, the countries, or not that into it. And I will say I'm not. Epcot is my least favorite park.
Okay,
but I love what Epcot is. What the goal was, the experimental project planning community of tomorrow. Or I'm
it was idea supposed to be like a planned community of tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a neat, and the monorail connects to it. The real monorail.
Have you ever been to Lissa there? You know this. Am I pronouncing that right? It's my French in the Canada Pavilion. It's the steakhouse, and they have the cheddar cheese soup, and they have the pretzel sticks, and it's like the hottest restaurant in the park. Oh, it's so good.
I'm more familiar with Theo Canada, the film, the standing IMAX film.
This is the restaurant. It's delicious, and once again, I associate this with good eating,
dining
for a park.
And they're opening some new restaurants in the expanded downtown Disney section.
Yeah, but that's right. But
just
that's
some cool. Just for more people that want.
Oh no, I think
really good, like fine dining.
I think outside of the park, there's a lot of good options. I'm talking in the park, it's hard to find something where there's so many good options in one place. So that's that all figures into my World Showcase. But I'm happy. I thought didn't think that was going to be your number one, but I said, well, is she the kind of person who's going to have that? Obviously not.
Oh, it is not. Nope.
She does not.
You're safe.
All right.
No more crossover.
I'm wondering.
No, there's no way our number one's the same.
I don't think so. If you're saying it that way, I think there's no chance.
I don't know.
All right,
and I honestly, I've never been able to read it. I'm always wrong.
Stop keeping them in suspense. Let's do the number one.
My number one, I got to go with World. Got to go with my home.
Okay.
My home base. And got to stick with the main event, Magic Kingdom. And there's so many great lands to choose from.
Yeah, one of them was left off my list and was very hard to leave off. So I'm wondering if you might save me and actually say it.
And that is Tomorrowland.
Nope, not it.
Okay, you're so quick. I didn't even get the whole word out. You're like, don't like it.
I didn't say that.
Oh.
But I don't like it.
Oh. Well, it's better than Epcot.
I don't. I don't mind it. That's the nice thing I can say about Tomorrowland. I'm thinking Disneyland though is the one that I'm sort of like.
Okay, so yeah, and this is
one
Tomorrowland in Magic Kingdom,
is
which is larger. I mean, they already had Tomorrowland in Disneyland, and then they could take that. They knew they wanted to have Space Mountain there. Then Walt also wanted the People Mover, which was originally planned to go throughout the park. Should be crazy. I'm trying to imagine that, but I love that People Mover, and you actually go through the Space Mountain ride. You can see the people on the ride, and it also has the Carousel of Progress, which I love. But I think for me, choosing Tomorrowland came down to nostalgia, and it's one of the sections in the park that I can remember being in as a child, being nervous to go on Space Mountain, but also eating in those funky, futuristic themed little pizza joints and just feeling like I was in a different place, perpetually stuck in the 80s, which I love. And it just, I don't know, just had a funky feel, and it just is so specific. I think some of the other lands, I love them, but Frontierland and Adventureland can kind of all merge and feel very similar, and like they're one, and they're a little tight, especially in Disneyland.
Well, Tomorrowland is very much a unique place that doesn't look like anything. Adventureland is the one that I had a hard time leaving off my top 5. I have such memories of Adventureland, the Jungle Cruise,
Disneyland. You're saying
Disney World.
Okay.
And I mean, Disneyland kind of. The reason why I ultimately left Adventureland off the list, by the way, not to get off Tomorrowland.
Because of the Tiki Room?
No, that's part of the reason why I wanted it on.
Oh.
But it can get really crowded at Disneyland.
Hands
it's a bottleneck.
down.
It's a bottleneck, and that unfortunately,
and with a stroller,
yeah,
forget about it.
It takes some of the joy out of what is a great area. It really does get.
I would like to go
crowded.
there on a very, very slow day.
Yeah.
Because every time I've been, it's been crowded. And no matter what, even if the park isn't that crowded, you feel crowded there. It's very tight.
We generally try not to walk through there unless we want to do a ride or something in there. And that's not because I don't want to be there. It's just because I don't want to be with all those people in the bottleneck in Disneyland. In Disney World, it's a little better.
Slightly, yeah.
It's a little better, but that's
too tight.
Yeah,
but that's what Tomorrowland, they definitely spread out better at Magic Kingdom. Yeah. But it caters to young and old. You've got, Space Mountain, and then you've got the Astro Blasters, and there's
the lesser Space Mountain is at Walt Disney World, right? I mean, they're both good, but the one at Disneyland is better. That's a fact. I'm not asking you.
Well, it's an opinion. It's literally an opinion. You could share the opinion with other people. That doesn't make it a fact.
Okay.
It's like Inside Out when she spills the boxes of facts and opinions, and they're like, people mix those up all the time.
Right.
So yeah, that's an opinion.
Okay. Well, let's hear your opinions on.
I tend to prefer.
Click.
I tend to prefer the single file seating. Feels like you're in a rocket, and going up the dual coaster pathways, whatever. It's it's the same track.
When's the last time you went on?
2010.
2010.
January 1st.
Oh, so you've been there
around 3 a.m.
You've been there more recently. I thought you hadn't been to Disney World in a little while.
Since 2009, ringing in New Year's.
Okay. All right,
but I am going back in January. Right. I'm taking a clipboard.
Okay.
Taking lots of thorough notes.
All right.
I feel like the whole time I know the Disneyland ride so well. I'm going to be comparing them.
I went on Space Mountain. It was about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Now, and I was surprised. I still really like it in Disney World. I would go on it again and again. But the one at Disneyland is so much smoother. The sound system is cooler. It's just I just like it better. No, they redid it recently.
Oh, okay.
They redid it. I can't remember the exact date.
And was it built? No, it was built first though originally.
It was built first. Yeah, they redid it. I can't remember.
And they didn't redo it or update it at World?
I don't think so. They might have had it closed for refurbishment, but they really did a top to bottom.
But isn't it fun sitting single file? I don't know. I remember too as a kid
That's
being more nervous.
But it reminds me of the Matterhorn, though.
You can well, it's the same track.
But the Matterhorn is really tough on your back.
It's the same track as Matterhorn, literally down to.
But you've been on Matterhorn recently, right?
Yeah, like a few days ago.
And how does that work on your back? It hurt a little bit?
I'm good.
Okay, did anybody complain about it?
Side note, I have to say, did you go on Matterhorn over Labor Day, over the holiday?
No.
They did some updates for the 60th.
Oh, right, yeah, the abominable snowman has changed.
The Yeti, or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Because I've been on that so many times, and I was like, whatever, done it. That Yeti came out. I was like, whoa, this is like a new Yeti, and I'm slightly scared, and I know this is a ride, and I'm an adult.
Right.
The Yeti is incredible.
That's cool. But we're getting off topic here.
Sorry, that is a huge side note.
Yeah.
I apologize.
I knew that. I haven't had a chance to go on it.
My number one's Tomorrowland.
Not as free to go on.
Whoa, you got to go.
Okay, I will go.
Guys, everyone out there, let us know.
I should have been.
Hashtag, whoa, that Yeti's crazy.
I've been a couple times since they did it. I just haven't been able to get on for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Just like, family.
Just make your kid go on. Just push them on.
Okay, let's see how that goes.
That's throwing it back to another episode.
My number one is
anxious.
I think a lot of people who are true Disneyland fans would agree with this one. I really think this seems to be like the go-to answer for a lot of people.
Is it in Disneyland or Magic Kingdom?
Disneyland. It's Disneyland. It's not in Magic Kingdom, though.
I really like Disneyland over Magic Kingdom. Or over World. It's just
I like both in different ways. But I'll go back. Hopefully I get to go back someday soon, and I'll be able to check in again.
I just feel a preference.
Yeah, I don't.
From afar, as an observer,
there's certain things.
I feel a preference
in
a
future episode, we'll have to do something on that. So maybe in a later podcast, we'll talk about Disneyland versus Disney World.
Yes.
So, number one is New Orleans Square. Has Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, has Fantasmic. Right, we just talked about this. It also has Blue Bayou and
Love
Cafe
Blue Bayou.
It has so much personality. It is something. I think it's the last area that Walt was working on before he passed away in Disneyland, and it is uniquely Disneyland, so well themed, and it's just a very cool area to me. And it helps that it has Pirates and Haunted Mansion, two of my favorite rides as well. So but it's also theming. It's a combination of good rides and
great
theming. And Splash Mountain is not a part of its Critter Country, but Splash Mountain is kind of like right on the other side.
I love Critter Country.
Of Haunted Mansion.
That was in my top.
So that's why it gets a lot of points for me, and that's probably my number one. That is my number one as of right now. Disneyland Land or Disney Park Land.
Because at World, it's not New Orleans. It's
Liberty Square. Liberty Square, because that's where Haunted Mansion is.
Right.
And I will say it's
all just themed. The land's kind of spread out differently.
And I may have said this before, but
I like that it's different.
I prefer the approach in the outside and the approach to Disney World's Haunted Mansion better than Disneyland.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's more.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah, looming and larger.
Yeah.
Kind of same with Tower of Terror. Feels a little more. It's great. It's fine.
Oh, it's
California
better.
Adventure.
It's better.
But it's
Tower of Terror.
It's fine, but
I say Disney, the Haunted Mansion at both is awesome to me. Like that
the ride itself.
The ride itself, yeah.
Because inside it's pretty much the same.
Well, there's a couple extra rooms and effects in the Walt Disney World. It's a little bit bigger. There's a couple extra, it's a little bit bigger.
But
but both of them hold a special place in my heart, and therefore there just wasn't enough for me to think, Liberty Square. That's because it's Haunted Mansion. Whereas
in
Walt Disney
Magic
World.
Kingdom,
right? In Magic Kingdom, but New Orleans Square has all this. Great stuff.
You like Fantasmic being squeezed in there.
I do.
I disagree.
I do. It just has more personality.
No, I mean that would be up there. That's a great area of the park. I also feel though at times it gets a little crowded. That the line for Pirates on busy days can spill out and make it kind of rough to walk through.
Sure.
So I think it's a place that is super charming if you can catch it on a slower day.
Right.
When it's crowded, it's not the most fun. But it does have, I think Blue Bayou is one of the best restaurants. So it lays claim to that.
Atmospherically, it is probably the best restaurant. Atmospherically.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So unique. So that's our Disney list.
That's it.
If they have a question, comment they want to make.
Your own top 5.
What should they do?
They should tweet us at the Disney Click using the hashtag top5DisneyClick. And also be sure to follow us on Twitter at the Disney Click.
Hey, it's time for tips and tricks.
So we spoke a little bit in this last segment about drinking around the world or a nice meal, and that gives me a nice lead into this next area, which I know there's people, as shocking as this is, that really don't like going to the parks. They don't like going to Disney World or Disneyland, and although Briers and I don't quite understand that, especially Briers. And when I suggested talking about this, she looked at
alien.
When I suggested this to Briers, she looked at me and said, "There are people who don't like going to Disney."
I know that. I know they're out there because I'll talk about that I love Disney, and then people are quick to
they kind of gloss over
speak
and
up.
be like, "Yeah." Anyway,
no, people are very vocal about their dislike of Disney.
Right, well, this little part is maybe to help those of us who really enjoy Disney on a maybe higher level than your average person, to bring the people who don't want to be at Disney World or Disneyland.
The heathens.
Strong words.
I'm just kidding.
So the first thing, of course, I went to is eating and drinking. That's something that everybody has to do. I don't assume that everybody takes as much pleasure in eating as I do, and although I'm not big into drinking, there are those there who enjoy their cocktails, right?
Their alcoholic beverages.
Yes, exactly, and nothing wrong with that. So eating, a couple places that, and I will say ahead of time, I really had a harder time, admittedly, coming up with things at Disneyland Resort. Disney World was a lot easier to do. I just had a hard time with things that would really stick out to me at Disneyland.
Disney World caters to the...
Well, it's more of a resort. It's more of a go for a week with the family, and there's something for everybody. Disneyland is...
Water parks and fancier hotels,
but Disneyland
distractions from the actual parks.
Disneyland is it easily could be a 3-4 day place, absolutely. But it's a little harder sell for those who want to do other things.
Yes.
So
isn't there a full golf course at World? Is this? Did I?
Well, that's okay. Well, we can skip to that.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Is there an order?
No, there's not really an order. Absolutely not an order to this. But I believe there are 4 championship golf courses at Walt Disney World, and so
there's
of course
some golfers in the extended family. I know that's what they would prefer to be doing.
Correct, and so that's an easy sell. So, I guess I'll go to Disney World, and we'll go play in one of their great golf courses. So that's a big sell.
They're very nice. They're well manicured, well taken care of.
Disney tends to
per
do,
the Disney
right?
standard,
right.
Just like their theme parks and their films.
Right. So you pay for the experience, and
obviously,
it's good. It hopefully meets they'll make it right. So the golf is one of the things, and that's one of the things I'm talking about at Disney World that's just easier to advertise. I will also, eating wise, we already talked a little bit about World Showcase, where you have a lot of drinking to be done around World Showcase at all the countries. There's drinking around the world, and it's not for Briers or I.
You can drink in any of the parks, I believe, except Magic Kingdom and the Disneyland Park. There's a strict no alcohol policy.
Yeah. Side note to that, there's a lot of debate whether the new Star Wars land, the cantina, will serve alcoholic beverages.
I like that the Disneyland and Magic Kingdom are protected or in a bubble where
I do too,
because it's aimed towards
families.
Yeah, it's a family crowd, and that's where you want to take your kids when they're really young, and it's neat that it's protected.
I'm not
in today's day and age, that's rare.
Right. I don't hold so closely that they shouldn't be able to serve alcoholic beverages in the cantina. That said, I will equally not be upset if they don't, and I think it's nice to not have that in Magic Kingdom.
It's like having a smoking section in a restaurant.
Well, they have
spreads.
They have a smoking section at Disneyland, though.
Yeah, that's different than a drinking section, I think.
Okay.
I think it's a sense of spreading, though.
So right, but some places to eat. Many years ago, my wife and I went to Victoria and Albert's at the Grand Floridian. It is. I can honestly say that it's one of the best meals we've had. Not that we've had a ton of good meals, but we've had a lot of good meals. And the fact to say that I still remember that, and some people might find it a little cheesy that everybody's named Victoria and Albert, and there's but if you even look past that, and I don't think even that's a big deal. I think it's just good food, and that's something that I think anybody, even if you're not a Disney fan, will appreciate this.
And that is the crown jewel of their hotel resorts at Disney World.
Correct.
That is
this is the crown jewel restaurant.
Closest to the park.
Right.
You're right there. All the weddings are held there.
Right. And I would also,
and
also for something a little bit more casual, you have the California Grill, which is on top of the Contemporary Resort, which is people seem to love, and a lot of interesting things.
The Luau restaurant
the
at the Polynesian.
Right.
We've done that as a family. It's really fun.
Yeah.
And really authentic to Hawaii. You don't need to go to Hawaii.
And while these things can hold a kid's interest and they might like Victoria and Albert's, I don't know that young kids are allowed in, but all these things are good for kids. But you could go there as a bunch of adults and still really enjoy yourself. Mm-hmm. And that says something. I will go over to Disneyland, which once again, or Disneyland Park, or Disneyland Resort, and the Napa Rose at the Grand Californian. Yes. I've yet to have to go, but I hear only good things about it. There's a chef counter you can go eat at, and it's supposedly wonderful. It's on my list to do for sure.
They have their own vineyard.
Yeah,
They do.
Where's their vineyard
located? Walk past it. It's right underneath or next to the waterfall behind.
Oh, but it's not a real. I don't think it's a real vineyard.
I think it is.
Are you sure? I don't think it is.
I think it is.
All right. Well,
it's not like Disney to put up a fake vineyard. They
put
up a real one.
All right. Well, I'm sure we're going to hear, but I don't think it is real. But prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong. Regardless, we'll get down. We'll get the details. It looks very real.
Okay. I don't think it's real, but it's not so easy to grow grapes.
Nearby, Carthay Circle.
She's like moving on.
No, I'll get the details on it. But I don't know how much people care about the vineyard.
Carthay Circle is also.
Oh, Carthay Circle, I think is an outstanding restaurant. You've been. Right?
No, I have not been to Carthay Circle either.
Which
it's hard to get to these restaurants.
Right.
You have to there with my family.
Ditch the kids. Or you could take the kids.
We tried one.
How much they would appreciate it. It's not very themed. It's much more for an older crowd.
A couple years ago, we had annual passes and we had it all lined up. And then we were going to meet a couple from Orange County, and one of their kids got sick, and one of our kids got sick, and so the whole thing blew up. And that was our last chance to go to Disneyland, just as adults.
Okay.
But it
is good. So I mean, it's
good.
Really good food. I mean, it's up there. I would almost put it a little slightly above Blue Bayou in terms of the food itself.
Interesting. People seem to. I've some opinions. People seem to really love Blue Bayou, but I think it's
which I love Blue Bayou as well.
Right? As always,
put the two together.
So and there's also Steakhouse 55, which is people seem to really enjoy.
Yes, in the Grand Californian Hotel.
Bengal barbecue, if you want some meat on your stick outside of a turkey leg,
which will be knocked down. Yeah.
No. For Star Wars Land?
I'm thinking of another barbecue place.
You're thinking of Big Thunder Ranch. You're thinking of Big Thunder Ranch.
There's barbecue there.
Right.
That's going.
That's going. Yeah.
Which is very sad. And the petting zoo.
Right. And downtown Disney, you have Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen, which is a nice atmosphere and get a little.
And there's a new restaurant opening in downtown Disney World that's going to be incredible. It's from one of the top chefs.
Oh, Morimoto you're talking about?
Yes, Morimoto.
There's a chain of restaurants around. Not a big chain, but they're like
of the Morimoto.
Yeah. There's I believe one in Atlantic, Philadelphia. There's one in Napa, and there's a couple around. But they're supposed to be very good.
Like a handful, like less than 5 or more.
I don't know. I can't tell you the exact number. I just know that's. But a restaurant group. It's a restaurant group. Yeah. Thank you, Mason.
Okay.
So
kind of like a Hugo's restaurant.
Yeah. Right.
People are familiar.
Yes, it's like the Patina Group, which does a lot of Disney stuff. This is a restaurant, Morimoto restaurant. I don't know. So eating is not an issue. I think there's a lot of places, especially at Walt Disney World. I didn't list all the restaurants. We don't have to get into it now. It's a different topic for a different day.
There's a lot.
But there's a lot. There's a lot. Also, I would point out at Disneyland, this may not be your cup of tea if you don't love Disney, but if you're a history buff, but not a Disney buff, there's a lot of tours you can do at Disneyland, such as the Walk in Walt's Footsteps, Cultivating the Magic, which is about the flowers and the displays at Disney. Mm-hmm. And there's also a Disney California story tour, which kind of tells the story of Disney California. No,
it's focused on the park.
I think it's focused on the park
versus the state of California.
I think so. That's my understanding. Maybe it's.
I'd be interested in that.
Maybe it's about the state.
In the history of the park.
It could be about the state.
It's a short history of the park.
It could be about the state through the park.
Right, because the park does such a great job of encompassing the state.
Yeah, they probably mix it in.
I want to take that tour. So I'll get back to you.
Right, and then since we're in California Adventure, you also have the Mad Tea Party. This might be for not the
used to
old
be
curmudgeon.
Tron.
Yeah, like Electronica. It used to be. Now it's the Mad Tea Party.
I went to it when it was Tron. It was very fun.
Right. Have
great
you been
music.
To a Mad Tea Party?
I haven't. I mean, I think it's the same thing, and they changed changed the visuals.
I have been to the Mad Tea Party, and it's cool, but my kids were pulling me out of
It's
there.
not.
It's very
It's not
loud.
for kids.
It's very loud. It's not.
It's for the teenager and up crowd.
It's kid friendly in the sense that there's nothing bad or raunchy about it.
Right.
It's just very loud.
But kids don't want to just dance around to
I don't
techno
think
music.
I don't think it's their thing. It's not what they
Yeah.
go to Disneyland or California.
I had my
Adventure for.
teenage cousins with me, and we enjoyed it.
Okay,
The three of us.
right. So they're
They're playing like current tunes from the Katy
and they were actually like, "This is
Perry
awesome."
and Bruno
Okay,
Mars.
good.
Yeah, they were into it.
That's good. So you also have that, and let's not forget about the more adult rides. That although a lot of them are family and they might not be into rides, but if they're into a roller coaster, say Screamin' or Tower of Terror or Space Mountain, there's rides out there that people could be
in
into.
Magic Kingdom, the Yeti, the roller coaster.
Expedition Everest.
Yes, Expedition Everest
Yeah.
is a top fear in terms of fear and has a backwards
Right. It's
element.
not that scary either, but I like it.
See, I think it's scarier than the
Interesting.
upside down ones. I'm more
Really?
scared of the drops. Yeah,
Interesting.
and
Okay.
I would take like 10 upside downs.
Okay.
I'm fine.
But there are
loop-de-loops.
there are rides that not to confuse roller coasters of the Six Flags of the world, but there are rides that have a little bit of thrill in them.
But they're
you know.
themed so well that it much
Right, but-
surpasses
but-
the experience
but
you'd
the-
get at Six Flags.
But the point is that if they're looking for somebody who doesn't love Disney,
Thrills.
the thrills part of it.
Yeah, and there's still
Yeah.
there's a lot of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think more to come with Avatar Land. You don't think it's going to be that scary?
Well, I don't think it's going to be. I mean, an e-ticket ride is an e-ticket ride, so it'll be. But I don't know. Depends if you're looking for a roller coaster kind of ride. They're
What
not
is
going to
an
get
e-ticket
Avatar.
ride? How would you
We're-
define an
this-
e-ticket
this-
ride?
This is another,
Scary, long lines. I
another
say if
topic.
it has a fast pass, meaning it
And
gets enough attention.
Roger Rabbit
it's
is not
enough
an
of an
e-ticket.
Well, why does it have? I'm shocked. Why does it have a fast pass?
I don't know because nothing else in that area has an e-ticket of that park, the area of Disney.
So it is an e-ticket. You just called it an e-ticket.
No, nothing. No other park has a fast pass.
You called it an
If I called it an
e-ticket.
e-ticket, it was a mistaken to say that.
Well, I think in your subconscious, you know it's an e-ticket.
Right, but on top,
How else do you
on
tell
top
them
of that,
apart?
we could go on and on about this e-ticket
needs
thing.
to
I'm
be
trying
a-
to steer us
to be a
away from this.
debate.
Yes, this might
Yeah,
be a future
okay.
thing. And lastly, sports. If you just want to leave the kids in the park,
ESPN
whatever, ESPN
zone.
zone or ESPN Club in Walt Disney
Can stay
World.
at the sports hotels.
Yeah, well, I don't think that'll do it so much
Well,
for I
for
get to
someone
say
who likes
big.
sports, you can stay at the basketball hotel.
You're not a
Get
sports
your
fan, do you?
theme out.
I'm so excited. I'm going to sports hotel and there's big, large baseballs
they might
and woo!
prefer that to having Mickey's, all up in their
Maybe,
grill.
but
Or
I
having
think-
to stay at a, more of a cliche Disney themed
Right,
resort, which I do
right.
think Disney does a good job though of
Well,
not being too over the top.
I
with
gotta-
their
I got to tell you, as football is upon us. If I were going to Disney World or Disneyland on a Sunday, I would be like, "See you later, kids. I'm going to go to ESPN Zone and watch my football games."
what a
And
nice dad.
That's I'm nice like that. I just book my football
See where
Sundays.
your loyalty lies.
But that's there are a lot of people out there who would much rather be
Yes,
there.
yeah.
I'm not suggesting you. It's a bad idea to say, "See you later, kids. You go there all day. I'm going to be
good.
here
I
all
think
day."
it's good to find a balance, and everyone,
Right.
dad goes golfing, mom goes to the
Right.
spa.
Right. And I don't know that people who are listening to us right now are going to be these people we are talking to. So maybe we're talking to the people who are
ourselves.
in relationships or know people in family who really need convincing to go to Walt Disney World or Disneyland.
Right.
And as I said, I think the case is stronger in pleasing everybody for Walt Disney World. I will give the nod to Walt Disney World in that respect.
Well,
but
it is a
but
little bit
it's a
better
resort.
park.
Aye.
It's
All
a little
right.
bigger. It's a world.
It is a word. It caters to the
In
peop-
terms of the
it caters to
magical
the
feeling of
non-Disney fan.
escaping and having to
But-
not see chains and
In terms of catering to the person who doesn't like Disney, I would recommend going to Disney World for a
Yes.
week versus Disneyland for a week.
right, because there's options. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's my
and for someone who does love Disney, I would recommend Disney World as well.
for
And land.
for 3 days. Yeah,
For 3 days, is that all? Either one. Even though you will feel a
If you've
lot
never-
more pulled in many
if you've
directions.
if
at
you've never
World.
been to either one and you only have 3 days,
Land.
Disneyland hands down.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Even 4
But
days.
if you have a
Disneyland
week,
hand
go to
out.
World.
World, there's
We'll
definitely
send you the
a case.
itinerary.
Yeah, well, we'll have to get into this in a later episode. Is there anything else you would add that I couldn't think of for
No,
pleasing
I
those
just think
people?
you did a good job.
Okay.
Those people though, I don't know. I don't understand those
I
people.
do. I get
also
it.
don't
I get
understand
it.
people that it's tough to be in a relationship or a marriage where one person is really passionate about the parks, I think it would be very hard to go to the parks and have your significant other not like it.
There are a lot of people out there.
Good luck. I hope that your relationship stands the test of time.
I've seen a lot of people out there who talk about, I'm going with my daughter or my daughter and son, and we're leaving the husband at home. He's not into Disney World that much. I say
leave him at home, yeah.
So I think you can have a good, solid relationship and not have the love for Disney parks as well. Right. I do think that, I just think it makes it,
Well, it's sad they can't be there with you because it's definitely, it was fun getting to experience it with my family.
Right.
I don't know if we were just all brainwashed properly, but both my brothers and I are very fervent in our adoration for all things Disney, especially experiencing the parks.
Right.
We all love it, and they married people who do.
Right.
Otherwise, I wouldn't approve.
My mom is a trooper. She has been to the park, to Disney World and Disneyland with us, and I know it's not her favorite thing to do, but I think her joy is seeing her grandkids and enjoy it and us being a family.
It's neat to see the kids.
Yeah, you kind of have that element, but I don't hold it against anybody, because the fact is our enjoyment of Disney is definitely, on the scale 1 to 10, is probably a 10, where most people's probably around a 5 or 6 or 4. So we're kind of a skewed view in this respect.
Well, then there are people that like Six Flags a lot and go there regularly, who I don't understand.
Right.
So I'm sure they would.
Oh, you're being nice. The things you say about those Six Flags people.
I'm just saying. I don't understand. They're very foreign to me.
Right. I understand.
I understand waiting in lines with no theme or no content to them. I don't get that, but to each their own is the end of it.
That's right.
But there's plenty to do at all the parks, or hit up Olani. Go to one of the. Oh yeah,
for sure. Well, that's. I think a lot of people. I think even the
that's someone. Yeah,
the non-Disney lover.
And you're just going to get a classy resort,
right? With a little Disney magic.
That's the resort at Hawaii.
Yeah, little Disney. So
great.
Yeah, that's
great episode.
Let's wrap it up and let's give them our information. Where can they get a hold of us?
You can tweet us and follow us on Twitter at the Disney Click, and share your own top 5 using the hashtag #Top5DisneyClick, and also be sure to follow us on Instagram at the Disney Click. Right. And have a great week.
Yeah, and don't do anything too foolish out there, okay?
I didn't know where you were going.
I didn't know where I was
going. Give them some advice, Rick. Throw out advice.
Don't be too foolish.
Don't date people who don't like Disney. Stay away. Stay away from the heathens.
You date who you want. I believe in free choice here, despite what Brier says. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a magical week. We'll see you later.
The Disney Click is a Meltdown Presents production. Produced by Terri Lubaroff and Mason Booker. Audio engineer, the miracle worker, Mason Booker. With your hosts, Rick Lubaroff and Briers Newman. Our theme song, King of the Swingers, is performed by the Swing Ninjas and provided by freemusicarchive.org. Jazzy Frenchie is our break music and can be found on bensound.com. End credit music Dill Pickles is performed by the Heftone Banjo Orchestra and provided by freemusicarchive.org. Don't forget to tweet us at the Disney Click. You can also follow us on Instagram at the Disney Click. Use the hashtag #Top5DisneyClick to share your own top 5.